Good morning. It's Ginny, Tim, and Eli from DS Tech in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan, and we are talking about robot lawnmowers today.
Oh, yes.
We found, yeah. Well, and you know what's funny is now the ads are targeting me because I was clicking on the.
Oh,
of
course, of course.
So now on Facebook or wherever I go, there's a lawnmower following me. You know how that goes, right? But before we dive in, go to dstech.net to sign up for our newsletter and for filling out forms for free assessments for your business. Email us any questions you have or drop them in the comments. That would be great because they would give us more to talk about. So, my husband is mowing lawn now.
Okay.
Already, but we use a gas mower because we have a giant lawn. So
and you're probably going to continue business as usual. I guess I can go with like a little bit. My personal anecdotal story is, if it's where we live in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan, more people, if they live in the country, have larger yards. So the idea of using an electric lawnmower, it's just like you're just laughing at it like this.
Yeah, no way.
No way.
Kind of thing. No way. Maybe in the far future, but you never know.
Right,
for
because
sure.
The future seems to get closer.
Yep, and at a quicker rate too. That's the thing.
For sure.
What used to be seen like
Faster
20 years out could be 5 now.
Yeah.
Yep. So with my personal story anyway, I don't actually have a large, a lawn or anything like that. I just have a small little lawn, in town. And so when it came time to get a new push mower, it was about 6-7 years ago. Rather than just get a standard, engine push mower, I decided to just try going for one. I saw basically a neighbor using a push mower that looked like a vacuum, right? It had a cord plugged into the building. Like, what is that? I looked it up a little bit. They weren't too expensive. It was like $200. I'm like, well, I'll try it. If it dies in a year or two, whatever, I'll know. I'll lesson learned. I'll go back to using gas. Well, it's 7 years later, and I'm still using the same mower. So you look at that return on investment: $30 a year to mow my lawn for 7 years.
Not bad at all.
And then obviously factor in a little bit of the electricity. You're not dealing with the spark plugs, the gas, the oil, all the maintenance that normally goes into it.
That's
Every
right.
year, it's basically
Plug and play.
plug and pray.
That's
Exactly.
kinda cool.
Plug it into the thing every spring and hit the button and hope it still works. Because if it doesn't, that's the issue. Is unless you know how to solder or do like electronic kind of stuff, you're not going to be able to repair it on your own. So that's obviously a big con when it comes to electric mowers.
True.
So.
Not that I would know how to fix the gas mower either. But
Well, at least around here, it's usually more accessible. There's a lot more videos on there, and
True.
if you have tools, I mean, you can.
I
go
can
at
figure it out.
Right.
Yeah, you can
I
at
can
least
figure it
attempt
out.
it. If it's broken, you ain't gonna break it more, right? With electronic, you're not gonna have soldering and all. It's
no,
just a lot
that's
more
a little bit more complicated.
barrier to entry to fix that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So realistically with me, like I said, it was like I think it was called a Greenworks. If you look online, it's just like a 12 amp plugged. That's the difference, is that they have ones that plug into the wall outlet, which tend to be more stable with the battery. As the batteries drain, people complain the batteries may only last 30 minutes, 40 minutes. And if you're mowing your lawn for a couple hours, it's just not going to do the job. So that's the big trade-off with the battery styles, is that if you have a really tiny area, it can be convenient because you can kind of go wherever. But if you have the ability and in the wall outlet and a nice cord, go with the corded mower, because you're not going to be dealing with the batteries, charging the batteries. It's more of a solid connection. It's the same thing as using a power tool off a battery versus off the wall. When
Maybe
you're doing
don't-
cement drilling, you're going to want a corded wall one, because it takes a lot more power to kind of go through that kind of idea.
Don't run over the cord.
And that's the
Yeah.
biggest thing, is don't run over the cord.
Don't run
That
over the cord.
is the thing that people will say. And then actually, as you start to do it, you'll just kind of modify your behavior a bit, where you say have a routine of how you're mowing your lawn. What you'll learn to do is start close to the source of the outlet and work your way away from the house. So you kind of start at the house and then just kind of do spirals away from the house as you work away, so you don't have to cross over your path. There's little tips out there for doing it.
Sure.
But it's essentially a glorified vacuum for the lawn. You just hit the button. It's a lot quieter. It's a lot lighter to use too. It's not as heavy because there's not an engine on it. The one pro tip, if you are going to go this route, that I got was, when you first get one, there's the standard, you picture a lawnmower, it's flat with the engine kind of in the middle with like a shell over it to kind of keep it protected. While that shell, there's still a slight crack all the way in the bottom where you could take some screws off and pop it open to get at it. Well, with fine dust, fine grass particles, all that kind of stuff, what I did is take a bunch of duct tape and I sealed all that 100% when I first got it, because what'll happen is at 3, 4, 5 years, dust, like a computer, gets in your computer over time, can cause it to just go out, and then you're done. So I tried to make the internal components of my electric mower sealed better than what it originally came. So that's kind of a pro tip if you are going that route. But Realistically, if you have a large acreage, you're dealing with like low level areas where you got, some areas of your lawn are more swampy than others, so you
Hills
avoid them.
and ponds.
Hills, you got a lot of sticks, you're kind of cleaning up all that kind of stuff. Realistically, you're still going to go with the traditional method, and really the electric isn't going to be for you just yet. My thought with that is once they finally get to graphene batteries, which if they get to that point where they're basically 5 times the charge, quicker rate, all that kind of stuff,
We talked about
it
this.
would be feasible because your 30-40 minute battery might last you 3 hours now on a charge, and it would be doable for that, because the idea that it doesn't have the horsepower is gone. The electric mowers do have the same kind of horsepower. They can cut through the same stuff. It eats that power real quickly compared to the gas style. So if you're chugging through a lot of like country style things, you still want your John Deere with your
Bush hog
and all that kind of
There you
stuff.
go.
The
Yeah.
electric's not going to be replacing that anytime soon, but the biggest thing is the batteries. If the batteries evolve to the next generation, that's where it would be more viable for
If
that.
you want to see the episode, we talked about different batteries.
Yep.
It's interesting the different kinds of batteries they're coming out with. Anyway, keep going.
So that's pretty much that. And really, I guess how this ties into, software, DS Tech is I was just kind of thinking that internally we do the kind of same thing. This is just me personal anecdote using some technology at home, trying it before I feel confident enough to recommend it to others for use case. And in my opinion, was totally against them out the gate. I thought they were useless. It would last me a year or two, and I'd have to buy a traditional one. So kind of what we do internally here with software, we may have a new antivirus software that's on the market. We'll try it internally, test it out before we decide to actually resell it and recommend it to our customers. Same thing with other software that we use for productivity, for email, for security, all that we test internally on ourselves before we actually sell it to our customers. And the big thing is we don't want you to be the guinea pig. We like to be the guinea pig. We'll take that, and then once we're confident that it is good doing the job, we'll kind of resell it, and offer it to you and kind of help you through that. So that's kind of.
We hardly ever, recommend jumping on being the first person to try something.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
It's like
Let someone else be the beta tester.
Yeah.
And then you can kind of come in once the product's
especially
more
for our
refined.
business customers, right? I
Mhm.
mean, we want to keep your business up and running, not have to deal
Think
with
of a lot of times they always try to sell this new software is going to do X for your company and create so much productivity, but you got to look at, they're claiming it's going to do all this. So say maybe they can improve it 10%. Well, if the negative trade-off is that software doesn't work how they say, and now you're 20% slower, the risk versus reward isn't quite there. So you really need to evaluate the options, what they're saying it can do, how much more of a benefit will it be versus the chance now you're changing systems and all that kind of stuff. It can be tricky to move to something new. So you really want
let
to
us be the guinea pigs
Yes.
so
Yes.
that we can test it out for you, and then we make recommendations to our customers that work.
Yep.
So
Like we don't mind, creativity. They call it risk taking, but
Yeah.
we like to call it calculated risk taking, where we're not
Yes.
just going to take the risk for just because, but we're going to kind of make sure it makes sense before we go down that road and kind of test it out first. So
for sure,
yeah.
good
So.
stuff. So who's getting electronic lawnmower?
Oh gosh, I got 3 kids and got lost.
Yeah.
I got some toys and sticks to pick up in my
No.
yard.
No, and my yard's too big. It might end up in the pond
Right.
with my fish.
Yeah.
So,
They do make the new automatic ones now too, which are essentially like Roomba vacuums. They're quite expensive. They're like usually $4 or $5 grand to get one. And the idea is that it's just going to go and mow your lawn and automatically dump things off for you. But I'll just be honest, the technology is just not there yet. I've seen a couple YouTube videos where the person has like a pristine lawn already, like, white
Yeah.
picket fence, no hills, no, nothing. And it's still having issues being with sensory and things like that. So my advice, I would hold off on that for at least a couple of years till that technology gets more refined and the price comes down as well. I do like the idea of having, it's just automatically
That's
mowing my
kinda
lawn
cool,
every week. That'd
right?
be handy or even if you had a little
Right,
area that you could delegate, like the front lawn there, the kids are playing all the time, and then maybe you'd take care of the back with your own, however that works. I could see it being used, but the technology just, in my opinion, isn't quite there yet on those types of systems. I would still go with just these traditional push electronic one if it's doable for you. Again, smaller areas, is really where it works good.
Yeah.
Like with my 100-foot cord, I can reach every direction of my little yard from my house, so I have no issue. And it's, like I said, it's been super handy for me personally.
yeah,
for
it
that.
doesn't work on
I'm
80
already-
acres.
Not quite.
Not at
All right.
So,
Well, cool. Take that information and do what you want with it, or just watch for entertainment, drop your questions, and sign up for our newsletter at dstech.net. I have some tips for you. Anyway, so make it a great day. We'll see you next time.